Yo, it's the Spice and Night. Welcome to the Sup'm Show. We are at episode 50. Yes. Yeah, there we are. And we trying to find out if we need to turn these predators into prey.
Yeah.
Are sexual offenders afraid of the law, bro? Because what's been going on recently in the Bahamas has been crazy. What's up, Ants? Welcome to the show. We missed you the past couple of shows.
Yeah.
Beauty to have you back.
That's a loyal
And
supporter right there. That's a loyal supporter.
She ducked us last
Before we
week.
get started, though, I want to say that I personally, I won't speak on behalf of anybody else in the show, but I apologize if I get ratchet in this discussion
You on your
because it
ratchet?
is a vexing situation. And, you know, if I say something, fact check me, put in the comments, whatever. But at the end of the day, we are going to have this conversation, something that people seem to be afraid to have. So let's get in it. Dr. Kemp Bazard, Empire Fitness. I was there this morning, and definitely my floor looking a little shabby, man. More, and I need to come to you because I know you ain't do this work. I need
Definitely wasn't my work.
I need the best. So Mr. One knows wood flooring anywhere in Florida. All right, so Ants, we jumping into this conversation. Where we gonna start?
Okay.
Let's start with how we came about this topic.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna be joined by a guest a bit later, who actually inspired us to do this topic.
He coined the phrase, actually. He coined that phrase, boy.
He coined the phrase "conk salad and collect."
Conk salad and collect.
Conk salad and collect. What he was implying was that sexual abuse against children is as common and as accepted in the Bahamas as conk salad and collect.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because so much every week, you know, there are at least one or two stories of some type of sexual predation. But what I found very interesting in the past couple of months is that a lot of these predators were younger than us. Usually we expect older guys, you know, 60-year-old scumbags. But the past couple of months, there's been at least 2 or 3 guys that were like in their 20s.
Yeah.
Or 1 in their 30s and 2 in the 20s, like really young guys.
Wow.
And the question is, how does a society produce a predator? How does that happen? Yeah, you can jump to the automatic and say, okay, they're probably abused themselves. Okay. But is everybody that's abused turned into a predator? No. Was every predator abused? Also no. So how does the society contribute, or the environment? How does that happen? And why is it so? Why is it that before you say that, the next controversial issue is, and this is one that Mr. James Spread and I discussed a few times, is it truly that it's common, or is it just that we catch our people a lot and put them on parade, whereas other societies probably don't catch them as much and don't put them on parade?
Right. I wanted to go back, and that right there is the side I think I'll probably be most interested in digging into during the show. But before we get there, y'all mentioned this conk and collect, and we have international viewers. I just need you to break that down right quick so that people can understand what we talking about.
Are you going to break it, or are you going to break it? Wait, what?
First, I'll say the conk is known as a delicacy in the Bahamas. Is a sea shellfish, more like a snail. It has the texture of calamari. A lot of people are familiar with calamari. That's conch. We put it in with some herbs and some lemon and stuff. It's something that we eat. Kalik is one of the most popular Bahamian-made beers of the Bahamas. So when we say conch and collect, they go together. Like every weekend, You go out and you have your Kong salad and an ice cold click. So now we got to figure out how we relating that to the situation of nasty, stinking, dirty, disgusting people being sexually offensive to other human beings, especially children. So yeah, now go ahead. Okay, very common. Had a big cousin. Let me put this on the screen. There you go. Cousin
Very
who
common.
touched me as a child. See, this is the foolishness I can't stand. There's too many women I know who went through this as young children. Like, far too many.
Actually caught, so I think.
Yeah, but it's not just women, Dyson.
Well, yeah, it's not just women, but I'm saying like because men don't really talk about it. But I've known from dating
Men don't
women.
talk about it.
Right. From dating women, I've known that it like so many women that I've dated have talked about being molested or going through something sexually traumatic in their lives. And here we have this beautiful lady was 12. He was 19. He recently went to prison because he was finally actually caught. So I think it happens because family covers it up. Oh my God. See?
Well, my question answers this. Do you think at some point other family members knew, or did they cover up when they found out? Did they know this was going on? Because that's two different things. If they know it was going on all the while, did they cover it up from jump, or did they attempt to cover it up after years later it started to come out?
But at some point in time, they find out, and like we can't speak decisively for every situation, right? Because when it is found out, there are some family members that jump straight into action and go to the extreme, beat people to a pulp, go back to the Jesus days and stone people. We do have those type people, but what I'm trying to figure out now, like here we say with Anne's situation, said he was finally caught, and he recently went to jail. She was 12. She's a woman now.
Yeah,
and he finally goes to jail because he is caught. How many situations can you avoid, or what? We can explore. How is it that people can survive so long with their freedom, doing something that is not only against the law, but the pinnacle of moral wrongness?
They can't do it.
The maximum invasion of personal space.
I feel it's more in certain places, right? I only can speak for what I know. Yeah, I live in the US, but I'm speaking for where I grew up. I feel it's more commonly accepted when a person is found out to be doing stuff like that, rather than shunned and, made an example of. This is why it keeps happening over and over and over. And like my brother Kent Brazard said earlier, for the past couple of months, it's been young men, man. Young men, and I wouldn't even say young men that's dusty looking. Not that makes it different or make it right. You understand? Wrong is wrong, regardless. But you can clearly look at these young men and see that they're capable of getting somebody their own age, or at least within their age range. So why is it? What is the attraction to somebody young? And then the funny part about it is like, and once again, either way you cut it is fucked up and wrong. But these young men was caught with like little girls that's like 7 and 8 years old. What is your attraction to? What could you possibly get out of molesting somebody that's a child? Like that you have nothing in common to begin with.
Let's see if we could strip this apart. And we're speaking as common individuals. We're not lawyers. We're not. We have one doctor, but
one execution.
we understand it's a problem. Let's just talk about the problem for a little while.
Yeah.
Let's talk about possible reasons for the problem, and then let's go to where we usually go to, which is the solutions. And in the problem is very, very real. One of the problems that speak most recently, we have a situation where there's a child that's been molested by the significant other of her mother, and it's been said that the mother is being brought up on charges only because she basically forced an abortion, forced her child, her daughter, to have an abortion. And abortions are illegal in the Bahamas. So we have a situation where, as now, I don't know that
Dyson, she performed the act at home. She attempted to do it at home by herself. So yeah, she didn't just.
So let's speak to that.
She didn't like force her, like take her to one side doctor who do it on the side for the low. They tried to do that in the house. They tried to do that in the house.
The natural hell, babe.
So she could have killed that girl. And
okay. Let's speak to this situation. Let's speak to it. She did it in the house. She's not professional. She whatever means she did it. Let's say, okay, that's what she did. Why did she do it? And we're guessing here. We're speculating. One, the reason why she did it herself because she was ashamed. The reason why she did it herself is because she couldn't afford to go to a doctor. The reason why she did it herself is because she didn't want anyone to know about the situation, not as far as the shame of a child being pregnant, but who she was pregnant for. The reason why she did it was because she was protecting the person who impregnated her child. So those are some of the possible reasons why she did it. Another reason why she did it is because she knew that her child was too young to have a baby, and she didn't want her child to have a baby by this no good dude that she was about to have put in jail. Before she had him put in jail, she wanted to see to it that she got rid of this pregnancy. I'm just kind of speculating. There may be the possible reasons here, right? So now we have a child who was pregnant. Well, we know it only takes one time to get pregnant. But we have a situation now, and I'm so appreciative of the fact that we have that Ans has allowed us into her personal life to make an example out of what we're talking about, and say that these type of things could go on for a while. Mm-hmm. Because if she's a grown woman now, and this happened when she was 12, and this guy hasn't been caught until recently, that means he could have someone's emotional and physical well-being trapped for years. And we know that this is the situation for years and years and years until they see some type of justice. And for me, there is no justice.
No.
In these type of situations.
Agreed.
For grape, there is no justice because you never get that innocence back. That's not something that you can return.
On top of that, I see the double on top of your point, there's no rehabilitation for it either. There's no rehabilitation for grape or child molestation. Because here's the thing, that's something that's inward. You understand? Yeah. There's no way of knowing if that problem is corrected. Because under certain circumstances, it comes right back out. And even if it don't come back out, you still can't be too sure. Because this is nothing that you see and touch. This is a feeling on the inside. So just because someone verbally say, I've been rehabilitated from it, put in the right situation where no one have to find out about the situation. Come on now. So in my personal opinion, the only answer to cure is to kill them. Straight up. I said it.
Well, ultimate, what do you call that? What do you legally call that? You call that
execution?
Yeah, it's a word for it. Execution. Okay, so we get to that because we can talk about the part of the solution. Let's hit that. So the problem is we have
euthanize. You're talking about
corporal punishment.
Corporal punishment, right? You have parents that, well, that cover up situations, and that may add to the longevity of how of the problem of how.
Why do you ask the question, Dyson?
Yeah,
Why is it in our society that we see the need to cover these things up? Let's just say,
correct.
and usually
That's
for whatever reason, usually in that situation, the stories I've heard, it's always been a male perpetrator, and the person who's doing the protecting or trying to protect the family by whatever means is a female, or the mother or another female, right?
right, right,
And,
right.
and you can't exonerate both of them. But for me, I'm wondering, what is it about our society that makes a person say, you know what, I can't let nobody know that this has happened? If it truly is as common as Kong Salad and Collect, then it shouldn't be the fact that you don't want people to know, right? Because it's common. You understand what I'm saying? If it's true that if it's truly that
Yeah,
common, then we should be pretty not comfortable with it per se, but we should know that it happens a lot. If we know
We
that it
should be
happens,
open to discuss it and find a solution.
right? So why is it that they would go to such means? Why would this woman risk her daughter's life to hide this event? What
yeah,
is this? What is the thought process behind that? Because it's not like have any of you guys ever heard about, say, how Anne's gave us insight into her life? Does that mean what? We don't look at her the same anymore, or we're gonna look down on her family, or we're gonna say, their family is trash, don't talk to them, don't do business with them? Like, why is it, what is the person afraid of? And this is a question because I can't answer it. I don't know what's the thought process, because if I'm me as the father, I could tell you the situations I've personally been involved in at the hospital. We've had to call police when the father arrived. Once the
yeah,
father arrives, you got to call the police, and
yeah.
they have to lock him up and carry him away because he's trying to break down the whole place. So
Hmm.
I'm trying to figure out, and I don't think we have the answer for this, guys. But the truth is, the question is, what is it then? And this is that makes us want to hide and protect the family. Or protect the person? What is it that makes usually a woman want to protect that person?
Because for me personally, on that particular topic or on that particular question right there, how you ended, most people fear ridicule, and shame. Most
Okay.
people, okay,
Okay.
and ridicule and shame on a large scale is detrimental to some people.
But we don't.
Also,
That's what I'm saying. But we don't ridicule people for that, do we?
we shouldn't, but see, we don't. As far as we, speaking of us three right here on this panel, but what goes on in the mind of the parents of the kid that it happened to, that's protecting the kid, you don't know where they're coming from. Once again, not making excuses for the action. I'm just trying to explain or come with the other side of the coin.
I understand it, because the cover up happens almost as often as the assaults happen. The cover up is, you understand what I'm saying? The action of
Yeah,
covering
yeah.
it
But
up happens almost
let's
every time.
But it
shame
happens,
and embarrassment is one
yes.
side.
But like I
There's
said,
also,
this normally happens, right? In my how I normally hear about things when I was over in the Bahamas, even some would hear. I want to say 8 times out of 10, right? Stuff like that happens when the mother values the man more than she values her own kid or kids, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
And mainly, in my experience, I'm not talk. Fuck it. Yeah, I am. What? Yeah, I am. Yeah, what? Check it. Yeah, I am. This normally happens with mothers or females with multiple baby daddies, also. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you let different men into your household not knowing nothing about their background. You don't know nothing about them, bro, amongst your children, mainly girls or boys. And you don't
Hans, don't
even
start,
know
Josh.
who they are, but you're so excited and so, glad to have a piece of shit in your life. that you
Keeping on the
value
bills. That's
that
what I was gonna.
relationship.
That's gonna
And you
say.
want to know something? There's many cases over here in Florida too where the kid actually goes to the parent and explain what's going on, and they get on timeout and punishment.
Well, Dyson, I could give you not Dyson. One, I can give you an example. When I was working on the ambulance, like
Yeah.
when I used to come home from medical school on break, I used to work on ambulance for a private ambulance, right?
Mhm.
And one time we got called to a scene where what happened is that there was a child running through the street, like all bloody, blood going down her head. Young girl, probably 11, 12. And when we got there, the mother actually brought her to the truck. Come to find out, it was the mother who hit her. The mother hit her because the dude was sleeping with the little girl, right? So she hit the girl.
Not the dude.
Not the dude now.
Not the dude. The
She hit
girl.
the girl. And
Yeah.
I couldn't for the life of me, like I had to really control myself in that situation. And we called the police immediately, of course. Because eventually we were treating the girl, and as the story started to come out, because
Yeah.
when we asked the girl, because you know how we go, we say, "Who hit you?" She said, "She hit me." Right?
Mhm.
So the mother gets upset and she grabs the girl, goes back in the house. So we can't follow them in the house.
Right.
So we had to call the police. But to getting the full story, and that's just an example of what you're saying, bro.
Yeah. I'm telling you, bro. I am telling you.
Protecting useless and worthless dudes is absolutely. I think this is what I'm saying. We need to attack that situation. As a scientist, I like to look at every part of every. You have to look
There
at
you go,
every.
Ruckus. 100%.
You got to look at every aspect of the situation. You have to break it down exactly how it happened, what happened, and you have to approach every angle of it. Otherwise, you're going to end up with the same problem over and over again. All right. So you can't just address, even though we need to address these scumbags, and I think it's kind of easy to address, throw them in jail, kill them, cut the stuff off, whatever. All right. But if you don't address the ones that are being protected,
Mhm.
you're going to still have the same problem. And we have to figure out what's the psychology behind that and why is that happening? Why do people think you could protect someone like that? Because I can't fathom trying to protect somebody like that.
No.
Okay, I just want to quickly say that there are situations where both parents are guilty of pimping their children. Right?
Yes.
So I don't want to lean completely on the mother, because I see what Ruckus is saying, but in a lot of times too, these fathers, we all know fathers could be mesmerizingly crappy. But let's dig into that hiding stuff. We talk about the mother hiding the situation in this instance, but we have an entire society really who sweeps this nonsense underneath the rug. We have an entire society that seems unprepared or unwilling to make changes that are going to call out these predators.
So do we need to, not to jump to the solution, but do we need to also penalize the parents? Does that happen enough?
Absolutely.
Maybe that doesn't happen enough, is my point. Maybe that doesn't happen.
Absolutely.
You know, because we talked about this before about parents being liable for their children's behavior or what happens or what happens to their children. And I think, like you rightly said, and there are some fathers out there who may pimp their daughters off for drugs and stuff like that. Yeah, of course, they're absolutely scumbags like that, definitely. But I'm saying, how do we change the mentality that your embarrassment or your shame, first of all, I feel like that's kind of, see you later, Ants. I feel like that's self I feel like you put that on yourself, because I've never seen or heard anywhere in our society people say, you see that person over there, they have a pedophile in their family, or sorry, they were molested by a pedophile or whatever, don't talk to them, or don't associate with that family because somebody in the family went to jail for molesting kids. Like I've never. You understand what I'm saying? So how do we fix that? Because if you don't fix that, once again, if you don't fix that, you're going to end up with the same thing. What you're going to end up with, here's what we have right now. What we have right now is almost every time it happens, it makes the news.
Yeah.
Right? What you don't want is for it to not make the news when it happens. So it just happened and it's not making the news. That's what you don't want. So that's what I've been trying to say. This is a better situation that it hits the news.
But making it okay. But hold on. Okay, I agree with you 100%, right? But making the news is one thing, right? But I could be wrong. It seems to me that there is nothing in place to deter or have somebody in fear. You understand that if you get caught doing X, Y, and Z, you most definitely getting this or that done to you. Like, you know, like what is in place to deter a person, male or female, mostly males, because we got some thirsty fucking dudes out there. Let's be honest.
It's 90% male.
95% male. 95%. So, what are the laws in place, or should we have laws in place that when these things occur, we automatically know what's going to happen to a person? Because I'll be honest, examples need to be made of. Because it seems to me that just talking about it.
I know that there was a change, and I remember a case back in the late 90s where the time was put up from automatic 7 years to automatic something else, so automatic 12 years or something like that. Like
years don't change that, though, Ken. Years in prison don't change that.
Hold on. I'm just saying. We can talk about what's in place legally and what's in place not legally, right? So what's in place as far as deterring guys? Because I know what deter me from crime. I've seen Max at PMH and Sandilands. That deter me from crime, right? So that may not work. That worked for me. That might not work for other people, okay? Or they may not have never seen that. But what I'm saying is, let's see. I'm going to actually look here on the laws here and see what it is right now. But we do have laws in place. It's not legal like it is in some other countries. Because in some other countries, this stuff is legal, right? There's no law. So number one, do we have law? Yes, we have law. Absolutely. Are these guys treated or protected by the law? No, they are not. They're absolutely not. So that's the legal side. On the non-legal side, just like in most places in the world, when these guys end up in the court system, even if you've been accused, just being accused is enough. Just being accused is enough to get you put in prison and illegally dealt with or dealing with the repercussions of your accusation. Not even what has been proven, just your accusation. So that tells me that no, our society does not accept this behavior. If the lowest forms of society don't give you a pass for this behavior, then the behavior is not accepted.
Our legal literature point to that, but our culture, our way of life does not. I will speculation again, ladies and gentlemen. There are pastors that go to jail for this nonsense, or get exposed. They come out of jail and start a whole new church.
Yeah,
there are politicians. There are
you'll be surprised what going on in church.
Yeah, there are prominent people. You know what it is for a lawmaker to be guilty? The people that we call honorable, not because they are honorable, but because they hold the title because they are now expected to act honorably.
Yeah.
And that is a part, we know that is a part of the culture. And a lot of these abused children and abused women would understand what it means to be first villainized for coming out and speaking against something wrong happening to them. We just have a politician um, charged the other day, didn't we?
Yeah.
And the only reason why it stick is because the person was smart enough to record what was going on. There are certain times, and then you have to push for these things to see the light of day. You have the challenge of being called a liar. You have the challenge of being called promiscuous. You have the challenge of being of say of the person that take advantage of you, say that it's your fault. We have these situations. We have, and I mean, and then we have some. If it's a child, especially if it's a child, because you have statutory situations, right? And that means that even if the child said yes, you as a grown up, you as a grown adult, know that you have to say no.
Yeah.
You feel me? So we have now these situations where little girls go missing. They go missing for a week. The parents report them missing. They on the billboard, and then you find out that they was with man. Right? You do have these situations, but and then you look at the child and say, "Oh, she fast." You look in the wrong direction. You have to look at the person that she was with, because that person is a predator. That person is going to look for the person that needs that, or that either needs or wants a bill paid, needs or wants some money, needs or entertains like little kids do. They want new PlayStation and new Jordans and whatever the situation is. Anyway, we have a guest. Let me welcome this guest to the show because I know he doesn't have much time. You can do the introduction one.
Yeah.
What's up, fellas?
Mr. G and Smith.
How you guys doing, man?
We're good. All right, guys. This is one of my other brothers here. 30 years strong friendship.
Yep.
Me, him, Kent, and another two. We all used to roll around back in the day, still tight, from kids to men, prominent men, honorable men. I give you all Mr. G and Smith, and he about to give his thoughts on this particular topic. Mr. Conk and Kalik himself, he coined this phrase. It wasn't mine, wasn't Kent. This is the man here responsible. Go ahead, Jane.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for having me on your show. You guys are doing a good work here. I think it's been a long time coming for men to come together to discuss a lot of these issues. Some of the topics that you guys have touched on over the past couple of months.
Yeah.
And so, my contribution to you guys' show today was it's just a basic observation that I realized a couple of months ago when I'm a part of a couple of groups on social media that discuss things like child molestation and things like that, and certain abuse that go on, particularly in our community.
Mm-hmm.
And so I never really paid attention to it until I started to listen to these people talk about some of their experiences that they're still dealing with today as adults. And so I say, you know what? Let me just um, let me just probe into this a little bit. And this kind of caught fire off of the when they were trying to get the legislation for Marco's law. So I said, let me just look into this a little bit and see what exactly these folks are talking about and their experiences. And I was a little bit surprised, to be honest, when I realized the actual frequency of these things that happen in our homes. It's almost like a big secret in our society that we don't really talk about for whatever reason. But I think with platforms like this, I think we can bring a little bit more awareness to it because everyone is busy. We're trying to make our lives. We're trying to provide for ourselves and our families and whatnot. So if
if we're not directly impacted by something like this, we really wouldn't pay any mind to it. I think about
You
Dr.
should say
Bazaar
that
just a,
again. That
yeah,
statement right there is a
Very
very
important.
powerful one.
Strong.
yeah, it is.
If we,
It's not until your house is on fire until you realize how serious fire is. You know what I mean?
hmm
Hmm.
So, and the depth of it kind of rang home a little bit more when I'm sure some of you guys remember Dr. Bazaar had an encounter a couple of months back. Can't remember the
hmm
exact timeline when he actually intervened
Hmm.
while on a public road in
In
broad
broad
daylight
daylight. In broad daylight.
of a grown man pursuing a young female child. And I don't know, um, that was kind of like, I wouldn't say it was a wake up call, but it just kind of made the issue a little bit more glaring for me. And I think it's something that we probably need to probe in a little bit more. I don't think it's a situation where, it's an isolated situation. Folks like to downplay things. Like, let's say, well, that's an isolated case. But when when I started to look at the reported cases and the frequency of the reported cases, I literally, it was one evening and I was reading another article where there was another adult male assaulting a young child, and I'm like, this situation here appears to be as Bahamian as going to Iraqi and getting a conch salad and a collect. Like that's literally what came into my mind. It's like it's as frequent as a Bahamian eating a conch salad with a collect.
Yep.
And since I coined that phrase, I mean, just off of the reported cases alone, it's a little bit jarring. It's a little bit concerning, and I really think we need to, as a society, we need to put a little bit more light on this. I know there are some folks advocating for sex offender registry. I think that's a step in the right direction. I know Minister of National Security Wayne Monroe released information of a known pedophile, and I think that's a step in the right direction. Like we need to know the community at large needs to know who and where these people are at all times.
Hmm.
I think we would really be saving a lot of lives. We would really be causing um, the right sizing of a lot of innocent young people who have to deal with this issue for the rest of their life. Like we don't think about it. Like there are people that struggle. There are adults right now that are struggling with something that happened to them 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a very, very tough road. And so I think we all as citizens, we need to do our part. We need to make folks aware. We need to shed a little bit more light on the situation, and hopefully maybe we could remedy this and start to um, start to introduce a lot more healing that's going on in our communities because a lot of people are hurting over this.
Yeah.
I got a quick question while we have you, Gian, so you could chime in on this, but for this for the full panel and everyone watching and put it in the comment sheet. When you have a suggestion that a lot of people back like this sexual offenders registry, right? When you have a good idea like that, why does it seem near impossible for it to be instated? What takes so long in order for it to be introduced and written into law? What is the problem? What is the holdup?
I think because we're such a small society, but particularly in New Providence, right? Um, Everybody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and I think in a lot of cases, um, family members may not want that information out. I think some of the names, if we really were to tackle this issue, I think some of the names of some of the individuals who are involved in this um, would would make a lot of people surprised.
Hmm.
So I think there's a
That
little bit
part
of
right
a
there. That
protectionism in
part.
there in the society. I think there are. I think the situation here is from the top all the way down. I think it's pretty much encompassing the whole population, I think. And to get to that level where you are going to expose these people in this society, um, once you start to document who all has been charged and accused of this type of action, um, I think there's going to be some pushback because certain people are going to want to protect certain individuals within the community. So
Yeah.
I think that has a
Is
lot to
is
do with
there
it.
a way? Is there a way for us to get past that though? I mean, like we have election season is like one of the most is almost like Christmas here in the Bahamas, right?
Right.
And and my thing about it is since we get so excited and we get so celebratory and so passionate about politics, right?
Yeah.
Um, why can't we get passionate about becoming a more humane society? Like, what would it take? What type? Who has the campaign? Who has to take the rings? Like we the Sup'm Show. We three guys, four on now. We talking about this, but how do we turn this talk into action and actually bringing change? How do we combat the system that is slowly, well, not seemingly waiting until people lose interest so they could go on with the status quo, where they could go on with what they was doing?
Yeah. I think. I mean, and that's a loaded question. I think we need a moral and spiritual revolution. Um, I mean, I know that's kind of a strong way to describe it, but um, I think this is just so ingrained within our society that it's really going to take some type of uh, spiritual enlightenment for the community and the country at large to want to eradicate this issue or mitigate it as much as possible. Because, like I said, if it's not on your doorstep, like this is a situation where it ain't my child, so
Right.
what do I care? You
Yep.
know what I mean? And that's what it is until we start to think about, what, that could be my child who that young man was pursuing who was walking to school. Like, you know what I mean? Like back in the day, I used to walk to school, to and from school. You know what I mean? And I think I think there's a little bit of a disconnect. Everyone, like I said, everyone's in their own little bubble, and we really don't appreciate, or we really don't want to move in a certain direction until the situation impacts us personally. So
Right.
um, I don't know what it's going to take to get to that point. To be honest, um, we can sensitize the community a little bit more, um, and have people to be a little bit more, I guess, sympathetic, or um, a little bit more concerned about these innocent children, and no one seems to talk about that. You just hear 8-year-old girl been assaulted, 9-year-old girl molested. But who are these children? They
Right.
have a life to live. You
Yep.
Yep.
know, and and the thing is, it's so difficult for victims to go public with this, um, because in most instances, the perpetrators are either family members or close relatives to the family. So it is such a terrible situation for these victims to be in, and I think um, maybe if there's a little bit more of a safe place to where more and more people who have been subjected to this can come and feel comfortable talking about it, to where people can get an appreciation as to how wide scale it is, and maybe um, the scales can drop from our eyes as a collective people, and we stand up and want to do something about it.
So, question: um, what do you think should be put in place to deter these thirsty motherfuckers from doing this type shit?
Bro,
Sick. Hold on. Thirsty and slash sick. There we go.
well,
I think he kind of just said that you really don't you really don't have an answer for it. I mean, you do have an answer, but it's
No,
how do you
I get what
how
you're
do you
saying.
enforce it?
I want to hear. I want to
Mhm.
hear. See, if y'all don't know, my brother here is a new father of triplets. Also, three
correct.
girls. Okay, three.
Congratulations, man!
I ain't say one. I
Wow,
ain't say two. I say three. All right.
you
So
you good? You all right?
he
I'm
perfect.
sleepy, but I'm good.
So my whole thing is this, right? My brother here, Gian, he's late to the party compared to the rest of us. Like
Yeah.
my daughter's 19, and we're there. He just come in the game. So you being a new father, not of boys, of three girls, your perspective may have been a certain thing, but now I really know it's something completely different. So personally speaking, not from a law's perspective or country perspective, what do you think should be put in place to deter grown ass thirsty men from doing heinous actions like this?
And take it all the way up to capital punishment, execution.
There you go. That's what I want.
You
That's what
know,
I want to know.
at least you will know for sure that that individual is not going to touch anyone again.
My point exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's to me that would be the ultimate penalty. Um, our current laws. I mean, I haven't delved into it too much, but it doesn't appear to be you know too stiff per se. I don't know how harsh. I don't know what's the maximum you can get as a repeat offender. Especially this gentleman who the Minister of National Security just made the public aware of. I don't know how long he been locked up, maybe over a decade, but they maybe introduce a life sentence, execution the life sentence. But
Very
the
quickly,
goal,
I want the public to understand that you mentioned this person, but there are people that are repeat offenders. Repeat offenders. This person in particular said in his exit interview when he was asked, "Will you do it again?" He was like, "Absolutely." But I'm just paraphrasing it. He's like, "Of course. I find him attractive. Every chance I get, I'm going to do it." And he was still released. And that's what we're dealing with. The person is back on the street and he's back in police custody for doing the same thing, just as he said, right? So I just want everyone to understand. Just we're talking about this, and a lot of times you get caught up in the talk, right? And you feel as though the talk is going to create change, but the talk isn't going to create change.
Yeah.
We literally have to campaign and lobby against some big money, some big prominent people, in order to get change to actually happen. Sorry, you can continue.
Well, there's
Yeah.
a reason why.
Okay. Go ahead.
Just real quick. There's a reason why I keep referring to the law, because I think that, and Jane said it. He put it in a great way. He said from the top to the bottom. So to me, that means from the head of the country to the person who's at the bottom of the country, and to me, that's the incarcerated persons who don't have no rights, right? And from top to bottom, in my personal view, first of all, I don't think this behavior is accepted or given a pass. Looking at those persons from top to bottom, right? But you have to start at the top, and if you start at the top, you're starting with law. You're starting with how the country is run. I think you have to start with the legal system. And looking at the law here, I could read it for you. We read this before. It says, any person who has unlawful sexual intercourse with a person under 14, whether with or without the consent of the person with whom they only say he though, whom he had unlawful sexual intercourse, or
Under what? Under what?
Under 14.
Hold on now.
Okay.
So
hold on.
Go ahead.
Under 14 years of age, whether with or without the consent of the person, whether whom he had or attempts to have unlawful sexual intercourse is guilty of an offense and liable to imprisonment for life. So let me read that again. Any person who has unlawful intercourse or attempts to have unlawful intercourse with a person under 14 years of age, with or without their consent, is guilty of an offense and liable to imprisonment for life. So the problem is we don't enforce the law. That's the problem. That's the way I'm looking at it.
There's more to that than just that problem, but go ahead.
There is more. It's plenty paragraphs to this, bro. Is more. Any unlawful, it goes on to say, if there's a person between 14, huh?
Who wrote this? Who wrote this law? Who wrote this law? They know we. I didn't write that shit. Who wrote the law?
Yeah, we have to take responsibility. That's a we situation.
The age of consent of Bahamas is what, 16, right? 16 is consent. So any person from 14, any person from 14 to 16 who does all of that same stuff I just read off is also guilty of an offense and liable to imprisonment for life. The difference between those two is that if you go to court for a person who is 14 to 16, they allow you to make the defense of you didn't know. It goes on to say that person, you can say you didn't know their age. If they under 14, you don't have no defense. That's the difference. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the law. So 1 decade in jail is supposed to be in jail for no 1 decade.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So let's start
20
there.
years at least.
Let's start with that right there. Because it's there, it's written, it's been written years ago. We just ain't doing it. And this is what I always come back to. I always come back to, it's right there. It says it. You got to do it now. It's right there. So imprison these niggas for life. That's it. That's where you start. Start with that. And then let's see what happens. Do we need to add execution? Sure, let's add it if we need to add it. No problem. But let's start with that. Because 7 years, 10 years, dudes will do that with no problem.
Well, let me ask you this: Is the prison system in Nassau flawed? Is it a flawed system, or is it overrun? I'm asking. I'm going to tell you where I'm going with this for a second. Is it overrun with prisoners?
We have one of the top 5 worst prisons in the world.
No. That's not what I'm asking. That's great.
I don't know.
That's great. Is it flawed as far as overcrowding?
Part of the reason is because it's overcrowded.
Okay, stop right there. So at this rate, where every other week we be reading 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, where are they going for life? Where are they going? Is there a particular section in there specifically for that type of crime, or are they in general population? And if we do pile them all in there, does that fall on the taxpayers' money to get that done?
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
So this is the reason why a lot of these things ain't happening, bro. It's a trickle-down effect, no matter which way you cut it. If people come forward and start telling, you'll be surprised who the people is that are even doing this shit. It'll blow your fucking mind.
Exactly.
It'll blow your mind as far as politicians, business owners, family members. That's in the mix. It'll blow your mind. This is why it will never go public, bro. Never, especially in a small community like Nassau.
So let's hit some solutions before we wrap up, gents.
Okay.
I made a suggestion the last time we had a similar topic of some sort of, it's kind of like an alimony almost for the victims of these type situations. Seeing as though they're letting them out, I think the court should be collecting some type of monetary contribution, a very substantial one, for their entire lives. And they either have to pay into the system. Some of that money goes to rehabilitation, social services, and then directly into the pockets of the person that was abused. That was one of the things that I had suggested in my mind that I have in mind. What do you guys think? Can we talk in solutions now? How do we make these people more fearful? How do we turn these predators into prey?
We closing the show with this thought.
Yeah, we just want to hit them with a few solutions, and then we can we wrap up.
I'll go last.
I
I
went
mean,
already.
at least for me, I like that suggestion, Dyson, where there's some sort of compensation, albeit financial, certainly can assist the victim. I think. Not sure how you'll go about doing that, but I think it's something worth considering. Um, Also, I think what the government has implemented so far with the I think they call it the macro alert. I think
Hmm.
whenever there's a child or someone goes missing. So I think
Hmm.
just further enhancement of systems like that, detection, intervention, and certainly communication to the wider public. I think needs to be a seamless, well-oiled machine to where everyone is aware of who's coming in. If they're in Fox Hill prison when they're released, the public is made aware as to this person and them being reintegrated into society, as well as anyone who has been convicted. I want to go with that.
Yes.
Convict all
Hmm.
convicts, names, photo. If I rob a bank, they got me doing the bank lane shuffle, my face and everything else.
Yep.
So if someone is found guilty of child molestation or abuse, I think the same rules should apply. We need to see faces, we need to see names,
Yeah.
and incorporate that uh into an overall system of communication to where, sorry guys, to where the public is made aware. The communication is critical, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Doc, where you at?
Yeah, I have to revert. I only could deal with facts and what exists, and I can't. For me, I mean, it's great to say kill them all, but before you get for that to be a thing, that has to be passed into law, and how long is that going to take? So you have a law already. I think the first thing we need to do is enforce the law. That's the first thing. So the problem is we don't enforce laws. I bet you these guys don't even know that they could get life in prison for doing what they do. I bet you they don't even know that. So they don't have that deterrent. That deterrent don't exist for them because it's not done. Even if you put execution in the law, it don't mean nothing if you're not doing it. You could say they're up for execution and they die
Yeah.
in jail. So, there are people who are on death row right now who will never be executed. So if you don't actually do it,
Right.
then what's the point? All you're doing is make barking and don't have no bite. You understand what I'm saying? So there are some other punishments, some other corporal punishments that can be done. Execution is fine. That's one thing. There's such a thing as chemical castration. There's physical and chemical castration, right? And that's even done in the United States where they
Yeah.
use chemicals. They use chemicals to castrate.
Uh,
They use chemicals to castrate these offenders. I 100% agree with the type of registration that Mr. Smith is talking about, having these guys in the newspaper, and it happens not all the time. I've seen it a few times, but it doesn't happen as frequently as it should. We need a registry and a maintained website where people can go and look and see
Mm-hmm.
where these people are when they come out of jail, so that they know that, hey, this person lives in this area, and so we need to be more aware that this person was released from prison or whatever. They did their time if they had time, right? Thirdly, while they're in jail, or for those that have legit psychological issues, like the same gentleman, because obviously if he said, they ask him, "We about to let you go. Are you going to do it again?" And the guy said, "Yeah, I can do it again." So obviously he have a problem, right? This ain't a guy. This ain't a rational thinking. This ain't one of the scumbags. This a nutcase, right? So there's a difference between a scumbag and a nutcase. Both of them may be despicable, but one of them deserves some help and one don't, right? So
mm,
the guy who deserves at least a little bit of effort, they need to receive that effort as best as possible. And if it can't work, then put him back in jail for life. Simple as that. You understand what I'm saying? But I think it, like we said, it starts from the top. I do not believe that we live in a society where this stuff is allowed and may be kept quiet. But this is not something that we think is cool. This is not something that we endorse. All right, and I think we as a group of young men have always been very straightforward with our position on this point. But I think if we don't address in a systemic and a logical way, nothing's going to happen. People are just going to talk, shout and scream, and say do this and do that, and nothing's going to happen. You got to start with what you have in place already, fix that, and then add on the stuff that you need to add on, and then execute. For me is that's the only way to get it done.
Good point.
All right. You shouldn't have so many offenses, but I think, if it is multiple offenses, you should get a brand on your flipping forehead. Go ahead, Juan. Take us on.
It's not really a tough topic here. The solution should be cut and dry, but it's not, obviously. Like my brother Gene said, right? That there has to be things in place where people can readily recognize who these people are. Okay? Because, my belief is there's no rehabilitation from this issue. There's none. And even if there is, the only way to find that out is if they verbally tell you they're cured. And that don't stand for shit. Because behind the scenes, where no one have to see anything go down, they could easily relapse back to who they really are as a person. But I strongly believe, as far from what you guys say, the whole prison system, like Ken said, it has to start from the top. It's all interconnected. It has to start from the top and trickle down. But also, I totally agree, it's not respected from the top or from the bottom. Because we all know men like this that go to jail, you know what happened to them in jail. And you got legitimate murderers in there that do other things. So obviously it's not respected or looked on as some major crime that you did that, we congratulate you. Welcome, welcome into the brotherhood. You understand? But if the Bahamas in general, right, doesn't want vigilante justice to start occurring, because it's right there, I'm telling you, it's right there. You better start making your laws when it comes to this topic here more effective, because you're going to have a bigger problem on your hand if the vigilante scene, starts to happen. Because now you're going to have people banded together on a hunt. And because of that, you're going to have people that's going to get hurt, possibly killed, just from rumors alone. Not proven facts. We deal with facts here as men. We don't deal with emotions. We deal with facts. You understand? So either one or two things need to happen. You need to put something in place as far as countrywide, rule-wide, law-wide, prison-wide, that when this new generation, because we're not seeing, there's a few older folks here and there, but for the past couple, months, half a year, we're seeing men younger than us getting caught up in this shit. And let's be honest, this young dumbass generation, they don't respect nothing. That's facts. They don't respect anything, bro. Like Ken said, you think they read in any fucking rule book? They don't care about that shit. All they going off of their natural urge, well, not natural urges of what they want to do when they see it. Come on, can't actually stop a situation where a guy broad daylight in the morning running behind a little schoolgirl with his penis out, bro. Think about how ridiculous that is, bro. In a society that should be civilized, right? So you mean to tell me someone else didn't see that was happening or about to happen? My brother had to come along and stop the whole scene. What happened to those people that was around before he was around? The dude didn't just drop on the sky in front of a little girl with his penis out. He been doing that shit leading up to that point. My brother just happened to drive by and catch it and jump out the car on some what? Let me gut you like the fucking pig you are. You understand? But if y'all don't want vigilante justice to occur, I mean, right on the cusp of it possibly happening, bro. That can go so many different ways, and you're gonna have a bigger problem on your hand to deal with. So I gotta tell everybody there, like, listen, you gotta put laws in place. You gotta fix the system from top to bottom to give people something to fear when this type of stuff occur. Because if there's nothing to fear, he don't give a fuck. I'm gonna leave it there.
No justice, no peace. I mean, I want to give Gian, you had anything else to add before we wrap up? Because you are a guest. We do appreciate you taking the time out, being a new father and joining us on the show. Anything, any last words?
No, I think I think discussions like these with men, really is a step in the right direction, and hopefully, it can pick up a little bit more momentum. And if things go the way that we would like them to, hopefully we get the changes we're looking for. So, but the discussion is very important. At least you start with the discussion, and then you can branch off from there.
For sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we do encourage you to subscribe to the Sup'm Show. This has been episode 50. Trying to figure out how we can turn these predators into prey, because obviously, well, seemingly, they're not afraid of the law. They can be afraid of us, though. Because thank y'all for watching, man. Peace out, y'all.
All right, guys.
Salute.
All right, there we go.
Don't take care of each other. Until next time.
Yes, sir.
All right, we out.
All right.